What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and another video. We got a few things to do today. If you missed the last video, you definitely got to go check it out. We got the truck all painted. We are letting this clear coat cure up and harden up so we can cut and buff it. So we're going to let that sit for probably 3-4 days just because it is very cold out and it's hard to keep the shop warm. So we got to give it some extra time to cure. So what I think I'm going to get started with today is I want to give the flares and the grill just a real quick nib, kind of a nib and buff. I might run over everything with the Trizac real quick just to kind of smooth it out, flatten it out, make sure everything looks good. Give it a quick buff. I want to get the rear flares on the bed, kind of get that back together, and then get the grill together, all that good stuff. So I do need to eventually get that canopy in the shop and get painting on that, but I am by myself today. I have nobody at home to help me bring that thing in here. So maybe later on I'll get some help, bring the canopy in, get that thing sanded. And I don't know what somebody did on the top. It's full of silicone. Hopefully we can get all that silicone off, because you cannot paint on top of silicone. That creates big problems. So either way, we got to get that thing in here eventually and get to work on that. But like I said, let's get to work on these flares and the grill. All right, so this is what we're working on. These flares, looking at these things again. Honestly, the clear laid out really nice on these. There's just some dirt we got to worry about. So I'm just going to grab 2000 grit and just kind of scuff up the whole thing real quick. And then we'll grab Trizac pads, 3000 and 5000, hit that really fast, and then we'll do a buff. And then these little pieces here are for the little filler trim pieces that clip into the grill. So we'll get that. And honestly, there's just a couple little pieces of dirt in this grill. I'm not going to worry about buffing like way down in here. I'm just going to kind of sand out what I can and just buff the bigger spots here, and we'll be good to go. Alright, we got these sanded out up to 5000 grit, so you can see these things are almost shiny. Obviously not perfectly shiny. You can see the difference there from not sanded at all to sanded. So let's get the buffer. I got this thing set up. We're just going to use the coarse foam pad with obviously the same coarse polish, and then yellow. I'm going to have to be buffing with one hand, so this thing does have a throttle lock right there. So that's going to help, because I'm going to have to hold these things with my other hand. So it might get a little bit tricky, but let's load up this pad and see what we can do with the buff. Alright guys, I want to talk to you for a quick second. The more I use the polisher, and honestly, the more I use this clear coat and figure it out, the more I like it. But what I want to show you guys real quick is how effective the polisher works at removing sand scratches and not introducing any swirls. So the flare on the right here is done with both steps, the fine and the coarse. The one on the left here is just coarse. And if you guys have ever done any polishing, any amount of polishing with a rotary buffer, you know that when you do your first coarse buff, you end up with a really hazy look and it's just full of swirl marks. I honestly don't see a single swirl mark or no haziness at all in that. You kind of compare the two. Out in the sun, you'll probably notice a difference with the two different steps. Having this one done with a fine polish, it's probably going to look a lot better in the sun, but under the shop lights, I don't really see too much of a difference. So I just want to show you guys that. I'm honestly very, very impressed with how well this thing takes out scratches. And like I said, it doesn't introduce any swirl marks. It doesn't look hazy. On a lot of colors, I probably wouldn't do it on a dark color like this, but on a lot of colors, you could probably hit it with a coarse and call it a day. Honestly, that looks so good. On a lighter color, you probably wouldn't notice a whole lot of difference even doing the fine polish. So very, very stoked with how this thing is looking. Here's the grill. We got that done with 2 steps. So we are looking really good. Let's bust out the rest of the flares with the final polish. And then, like I said, I want to throw the rear flares on the truck, get the fender liners and everything in here, and get all that buttoned up. All right, we got the flares mounted up and the inner fenders in. This thing is looking so good. I'm so glad I color matched these flares. They look so much better being color matched on there. With that quick cut and buff we did, it really made those things look good. So very happy with how this thing is looking so far. Well, I'm gonna wrap this one up here. I know it's a short little video. Just wanted to get that done while we're waiting for the paint to cure up. So the next video, we gotta get the canopy in here, get that thing sanded, prepped for paint, and spray that thing out. And by the time we are done with that, the clear coat on the truck should be hard enough to give it a cut and buff. So that's kind of the game plan. Want to get the canopy done, we'll give the truck a cut and buff, and then we'll throw the truck back together. Depending on how the canopy turns out, I might give it a cut and buff. I'm not really sure. I'm not too worried about it just because it's just a canopy. But I wanted to get it color matched just because I know I will be using it a little bit at least. So might as well make it look nice on the truck. Well, that's a wrap, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Go smash that thumbs up button. We'll see you in the next one.